The powers of speed.
The Spec-5 World Tour goes to one of the most feared and formidable, but revered and beloved racetracks anywhere in the world. It's the Nürburgring Nordschleife, all 154 corners of it, 12.83 miles for our usual 45-minute race length. Glad to be bringing you all of the coverage here on HJBC. Hope you're following, and looking at that weather, it is relatively cold, as it ought to be, in the Eifel Mountains around this time of the year. Qualifying underway for the Spec-5 World Tour to set their grid for a 45-minute, 6-lap race in these Mazda MX-5 race cars. David Haynes here with Devin Peters, Michael Derby for your HJBC coverage. We're looking at Ronnie Coates right now, and I think he seems to be relatively confident, at least where we're seeing him place the car. This is one of those tracks that really it separates the drivers who've driven 100 hours here and those that haven't.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not just about where you place your car for this corner. It's about how you exit for the next 5 every single time. And as he comes here through what we call Aaron's section, he is driving his way with some confidence that we gave up a little bit on the exit there. Watch him go through the second carousel and up the hill here. These Mazda Miatas, they make it interesting around here. You really got to be committed every single corner to get the lap time, and the level of commitment is probably the biggest determining factor on who's going to be leading the grid today.
Now for Ronnie Coates, I hope he's packed a good book, an audio book, maybe a podcast out of Galgenkopf and onto the Dottingerhoer, an incredibly long straight. He's going to be at full throttle for basically a minute and a half almost. It feels like a very, very long run for him to then see out this qualifying lap with really just one braking zone left in it for him. As you can see at the moment, Camden Hibbett's top of qualifying with still a lap left in the bag for everyone. Ray Lombardi in second. Ronnie Coates here is in third, hoping to improve. And you've got Rui Coimbra, Michael Chase, Joshua Soto, Sean Hayes, Ian Giebler, 8th outright there for the open class drivers. Again, another one of those tracks where your pace at other circuits can matter less if this is a circuit that you've practiced, that you're familiar with, that you've clicked with, and you're a little bit of a ringmeister.
Yeah, we're watching Ronnie Coates here. He's actually coming around on his second lap. Qualifies been underway for a little bit here, so we'll see if he's able to improve this time around. 8:03 becomes an 8:014, so that's pretty solid improvement from lap 1 to lap 2. Improving more though is Camden Hibbett going from an 8:03 down to a 7:59. That's right, the first driver to tickle the sevens in this Mazda Miata tonight.
There are an incredible number of sectors of this circuit that my mind is bending. That is not going to be an improvement. You know what? I think he's got one more lap in this if he toes back to the starting point from there, because we're seeing, those 8-minute lap times. He's got 4 minutes to get from the tourist pits exit around to the start-finish line to start one more lap, and so he chooses. Michael Chase is up into third, so Ray Lombardi's been dropped down to fourth. Looks like he's most of the way around a lap at the moment. Might have just crossed the start-finish line. Gareth Brocklesby, nice improvement there, and he's right to the end of his lap. He's fourth. He was second just a couple of minutes ago. 2 drivers have come through and improved, knocked him down to fourth. He's throwing it through the final corner onto the short Nürburgring pits and across the start-finish line for Ray. I think he found literally just 1 or 2 tenths, and that was about it.
I was more like 2.3 seconds, but hey, around the Nürburgring, it all feels the same. It was enough to bump him up 1 spot over the likes of Odyssey Adams. And, maybe a bit of a home field advantage here for Ray.
He's the only European club driver on the circuit at the moment for Spec-5 World Tour. He's got 1 more lap to go. HJBC.live has the live timing as well if you're trying to keep up with anyone particular in this qualifying session. The Nürburgring is split into many, many, many timing sectors, so timing can get a little tough when you've got 20 kilometers of racetrack, 154 turns and 8-minute lap times, but it's all of the exceptions of this place that separate it from every other permanent racetrack in the world that gives it such charm.
Yeah, it really is an oddity. It's a wonderful thing, this, but nothing else really like it.
Ian Giebler was the top driver in open class just a little bit ago, and then Gareth Brocklesby's gone and beaten him by 1 second. They're both in similar parts of the lap at the moment, so very easy to sort of back-to-back how their final lap in qualifying is going. For Gareth Brocklesby, 2 personal bests, and I would say he's probably 2 tenths up on how Ian Giebler's lap is tracking at the moment as well. And shortly, Brocklesby will hit another timing line, and it might suggest he's even further up on Ian Giebler.
Yeah, always ebbs and flows around here. But they're coming through still the early parts of the lap here. plenty of time to be made and lost. Giebler actually just had a bit of a moment coming out of slow corner there. Not gonna lie, my German pronunciation isn't so good, but I might give you the experience here. We see him coming around the corner. He gets that tail wagging a little bit, and then when you try to switch directions back to the right, the car doesn't want to come with you. So just a little bit loose there.
And he lost half a second on this lap before that as well. So this one is going to struggle to be an improvement for Ian Giebler. While for Gareth Brocklesby, he is going yet further full speed ahead. There's a few other drivers that could also still improve in this session. Camden Hibbert at the moment sits 1.6 seconds clear, but he is not on track. He is not going to set another lap, so it's in the hands of Ronnie Coates, Michael Chase, Ray Lombardi, or even some other surprise package to try to swing one away from him. The purple sectors at the moment are with Ray Lombardi, so purple through the first sector, like Sabina Schmidt's curve, and Hoheneichen, I think it called that one. And then, of course, over the Flugplatz, he was pretty speedy as well. And the third sector, he was personal best as well. So there is a lot of drivers still finding improvement. And this is absolutely the kind of track where your first lap in qualifying is a banker lap. You try to keep it off the Armco, keep it between the white lines. And then the final lap of qualifying, is the one where you can go, do you know what? I think I can take 5 more miles an hour into the carousel. I think I can tuck the little bit of banking through the corner here that you've seen Ray Lombardi just navigate, which is Bergwerk, and onto this long straight, another one of the long straights of the Nordschleife, and heading uphill. So every little bit extra of speed you carry onto this straight will pay seriously tenths and tenths of a second before you get to the next braking zone.
Yeah. As we were watching that, Ronnie Coates disappeared and reappeared from the track and disappeared again. I think that after his little incident going up the hill there, he's done for the day. Going to park that car and take his 8014. So we'll see now if anyone can overtake the top 2 spots on the podium. Michael Chase, Ray Lombardi, Odyssey Adams still out on track trying to set laps.
We had a couple of drivers who had Harley Davidson out here. A couple of drivers who had no lap time until just a little while ago. So Michael Coates had none. He's jumped up to 9th. Lee Martin's currently got none, and he took the open class win a week ago, did he not?
Yeah, he did, and he's second place in the points. He joined the session a little bit late here, so I'm not sure he's going to have the time to finish. So we'll see what it looks like for him on cold tires lap 1 and a little bit cold in the session in terms of not having any practice.
Relative to pole, he was 2.5 seconds down in the first sector. So again, a very, very ginger start to this lap for Lee Martin. Others still going quick. So his purple sector's on the board for cars that are out on track at the moment. Michael Chase has got some. Ray Lombardi's got 2. Rui Coimbra's just picked up 1. And all of those drivers are coming around some of the later parts of the lap right now. Lee Martin's heading towards what I don't think officially is known as Lauder Left, but casually might be known by some. Here's Michael Chase heading towards the little carousel, another one of those deceptively challenging corners, super banked and grippy on the entry. The grip washes out on the exit, can throw you out of that banking and into the Armco, but Chase keeps it online. He's going really quick in this last part of the lap. A lot of purple sectors through the twisty stuff and around the carousel. And then it's just Galgenkopf there where you're heading downhill onto the long straight. You know your exit is all that matters onto the Dottinger Hohe. Near enough to 2 miles of flat out racetrack, and for Chase, that's what he's doing.
Ray Lombardi, on the other hand, has gotten it a little bit wrong and stuffed it in the wall. I think I would call that section of the track Eschbach. Or maybe this is the YouTube corner. Oh, no, and it looks like it's been deliberate even. Yeah, it goes to YouTube corner, stuffs it in the wall because I think that lap wasn't going to cut it. Anyways, we'll rejoin some of the guys that are actually setting laps. So Michael Chase is coming down towards the end of his straightaway.
Yeah, the sectors are still looking good for an improvement, and he doesn't need much of an improvement to find any positions. So a tenth would get him to second. He needs 1.7 seconds to get him to pole. That might be too much of an ask, but if he knows he's up and he just sees this one out, could be jumping to the front row, looking to get a clean start in the 45-minute race coming up. Checkered flag is very quickly out of that final corner, and Michael Chase does jump Ronnie Coates into second place, finding 0.2 of a second on that lap. A lot of other drivers are about to cross the line as well. Odyssey Adams, Mitchell Peake, Gareth Brocklesby, Ian Giebler, that kind of like, and Michael Coates has got quite a bit more of his lap to go. Here's Brocklesby. This is the final braking zone through the Tiergarten and into this chicane here. Nice little bit of curb. Keep it to the left to open up the final 90-degree right-hander. Brocklesby sits 8th outright, pole for open class. As he crosses the line, he'll jump another chunk of time, move up another spot in the outright, and definitely cover off Ian Giebler, who crossed the line and only improved a little bit.
Yeah, Gareth Brocklesby making a point here at the end of the season for that open class. He hasn't shown up for every single race of the season. In fact, missed more than he's been here for. But when he has been here, he's been a pretty competitive racer for us. And we'll see if he's able to turn that into an open class win today. There'll be a few drivers angling for that.
So I think Cossack, Herrell and Martin are the only drivers left that could see out a lap. Andy Cossack, as you can see, one more braking zone to go here. It's been mostly personal bests all the way through this. Again, his key markers for qualifying have got to be against those other open class drivers, Gareth Brocklesby and Ian Giebler. Those are the two ahead of him. So to finish this lap out, shortly we'll see if Andy Cossack can jump a little bit of time on his final lap from 15th outright to 14th outright. Still third in class. And there's Herrell, I think also finding just 2 seconds or so on that final lap. Lee Martin, he needs to see this one out if he's going to have any qualifying time at all.
And while we're watching here, I've also just noticed Ray Lombardi practicing the pit entry here. We'll be having pit stops today on the short pit lane here. And it'll be a bit of an adventure for everyone, I think.
So again, the only drivers I think we can see finish a lap in the next 2.5 minutes. Lee Martin on screen right now, heading down the Dottinghor. And I think Michael Coates is going to fall short based on where he is. He's not on the Dottinghor yet. He's still quite a way away. And when the time runs out, the time runs out in a qualifying session like this. So it's all eyes on Lee Martin, the only movement in qualifying at the end of the session. It looks like he's kept it within the lines all the way around this lap so far.
As I say, every sector is a green sector, but it is his first lap.
So different ways to approach this final chicane. He gets a little wide on the exit, still gets it back to the line. Your apex is Armco. And for Lee Martin, where's the lap going to put him? It's going to move him up a little bit. And it's going to move him up ahead of Orlando Herrell and Andy Cossack in class to a 14th outright as well. So for a one-lap fling, reasonable effort. Here's Michael Coates. He's in the little carousel now. He's got the whole of the Dottinghor still to go. I don't think he's doing it in 80 seconds.
He's racing against the clock for sure, but hey, this will be a fun one to watch all the way to the line. We'll see if he can do it.
It actually might come close if you look at how the lap's been 7 minutes. He's trying to improve on an 8:05. So right now he needs 1 more minute on the clock, and he's got 1 minute 5 seconds on the clock. If you look at his elapsed time and add the remaining time in the session to get to a total lap time, he might just make it. So Michael Coates, has he timed this to perfection? And it looks like he might be, I think we were hearing he was tracking for about a 1 second improvement on his time. So 30 seconds left on the clock, and it's not just a race to make sure the lap time is improvement. It's a race to get to the checkered flag in time as well, with 20 seconds still left on the clock. Working his way through the twisting section, then hard on the brakes. You haven't used the brake pedal in about 90 seconds at that point. And then through the final corner here, 10 seconds left on the clock. He is going to beat the dash to the flag by just about 5 seconds, and it will move him up to 7th outright as well. Move him clear of all of the open class drivers as well. Very lucky late improvement for Michael Coates there, but he held his nerve, he saw it out, and the grid is set for round 12 of the Spec-5 World Tour from the Nürburgring Nordschleife. Camden Hibbert, we didn't see him in almost the last 10 minutes of qualifying, but he still set pole, the only driver underneath 8 minutes and ahead of Michael Chase. Ronnie Coates and Rui Coimbra on the second row, Ray Lombardi and Odyssey Adams on row number 3, and then Michael Coates, that time we saw from him, sneaking him into 7th just before it hit the presses. Gareth Brocklesby, best open class driver denoted by the blue stripe there in 8th outright ahead of Mitchell Peake, Geordie Fike, and then we had Ian Giebler, Tom Ayton, Joshua Soto, Lee Martin, Andy Kosick, Sean Hayes, Brian Jabelski and Orlando Herrell. Miraculously, all 18 drivers have set qualifying times, and you can tell pro from open drivers by the stripe underneath their position, and you can tell our lovely Spec-5 donors by their car number colours as well. Gold, silver and bronze in order of their donations, and they get some great perks. First of all, they get to feel great about supporting the Spec-5 World Tour, but they also get some extra votes when it comes to voting on the track selection for future seasons.
Yeah, as they form up on the grid here, we've got we're going to have a good show tonight. I'm actually really surprised to see Josh Soto gridded quite so far back. He's usually one of our really pointy end of the field kind of drivers, so maybe he's a little out of practice on the Nordschleife.
I hardly remember seeing him much in the qualifying, to be honest, so maybe he set a lap early or he came in late or something like that. Great to see the level of detail they've put in around the track. As far as the ambulance looks like a German ambulance, the fan shop looks like a German fan shop. It is a bit weird when you get to some of the European tracks and the ambulance is a Ford E-Series cutaway. There is where you would bring the rental car on any other day of the year, but it's where the pace lap sets off from. 45 minutes still on the clock. That'll start when they take the green flag. Camden Hibbert on the pole from Michael Chase, and they are, in these cold temperatures, really trying to get a bit of temp in.
Yeah, you better hope so. It's going to be really, really sketchy out there. Cold weather today. We've seen cold weather all season long as they mimic the temperatures in this series based on what the weather looks like in the real world. And this is a tight track, old school, narrow, not a lot of opportunities to overtake and a lot of opportunities to get two tires in the dirt and find a guardrail.
Boy, oh boy, is there a lot of guardrail. There's some on the left, there's some on the right. That means there's got to be 34 miles of guardrail around here. And the pace car pulls in. That's where the pit entry is. For the Nordschleife variation, it's quite a narrow, small, tight pit lane, and it's early and it's on the right, and the green flag waves. 45 minutes of the Nordschleife. Camden Hibbert is going to be around the outside of Sabina Schmidt's curve, turn 1, as they drop downhill. And the grip actually kicks in right as you get to the apex, and the elevation starts to become a little bit of banking to help you with your cold tyres down into this twisty section. They got to sort themselves out early to open the lap. Committed through this right-hander, Grass and Armco on both sides of the track, ready and willing to gobble you up. But for Camden Hibbert, that pole has helped him very, very much to get this race underway cleanly. Not a lot of movement that I can see through the grid order. Everyone in their right mind would want to start this race cleanly.
Yeah, and these guys are respecting the track as much as they're respecting the other drivers. I'm seeing lots of, cautious, patient turn-ins. Not a lot of too wide racing. All the way back to 18th place, they're pretty much driving in a single file line.
So there have been a few little movements. Rui Coimbra's dropped back a tiny bit off the start. Michael Coates, you can spot him in green and yellow in 5th as they go through the Flugplatz, nearly getting a little bit of air. If they were a bit quicker, If Mazda gave this car 100 more horsepower, I reckon we'd get the tyres off the ground through there. And he's also shaping up for another spot. The slipstream in this opening part of the lap, pretty massive, on their way to Flugplatz, and now on their way down towards over the crest and the left at Schwedenkreuz into the big braking zone at Arenberg. Ronnie Coates has closed up on Camden Hibbett for the race lead and then just backed out, rolled along in that second place. Coates doing the same thing in fifth place behind Ray Lombardi. Now they do get into this big stop. There's a bump in the middle of the corner. It's a long right-hander. The exit is tight underneath the Yokohama Bridge. And then you head into another high-speed but narrow section through the foxhole and then the compression to send them back uphill and into one of the famous YouTube corners.
In the background, seeing Jordy Fike dropping way back on the opening lap here. He just gave up about 4 spots through Schwedenkreuz. Not entirely sure what's going on with him. He's just maybe taking it a little bit easy. I know that I wouldn't want to be coming up on a wreck real fast on this opening lap.
Well, he had Joshua Soto get to the inside of him here for Flugplatz and the right-hander, and that might have scared him out a little bit wide. Yeah, and that'd do it. And again, onto a very, very long, fast section of the lap. That's dropped him the spot. Up front here, Camden Hibbett runs a little bit wide, gets it back on the road, and it bottles up the lead group here with Ronnie Coates, Michael Chase, Ray Lombardi, Michael Coates all over the back of him, and mistaken for brothers, twins, something, Rui Coimbra and Odyssey Adams just in behind this group now as well, not letting the leader Camden Hibbett get away too far. Through the triple right of miss, hit, miss, and then the slowest corner on the track is actually this one here, almost at the bottom of a hole. You've got to turn it in a hairpin left.
It's Siphon, according to my map. The audible chuckles of my producer at my pronunciation are not making it through the broadcast, but anyway.
And soon heading towards Bergwerk. So you've got 11 cars in the lead group here, and Joshua Soto has gotten to the back of this group. There he is behind Ian Giebler, behind Gareth Brocklesby. So first and second in your open class, part of this group, sandwiched by Joshua Soto and the leading pro drivers. Andy Cossack's leading his own little group a tiny bit back in third. Soto's going to try to make a little bit of a move, and Cossack's got Tom Ayton and Lee Martin for company there. Soto does it, but it maybe separates them from the leaders. Did he see a mistake from Ian Giebler, or to try to pass in a way that has cost them some momentum? Here, you're absolutely flat out. You take that little kink, you're going up the hill here, and it's some of the strongest slipstream.
They're too wide up at the front for a moment before Camden Hibbett drops back into line behind Ronnie Coates. Coates haven't taken the lead now, and they go through the guts corner. We'll see Camden deciding to stay in line, even though the draft is causing all the guys behind to check up. It's not exactly a comfortable place to be when there's this much momentum in these cars.
Klostertal, the corner before the carousel. This is where you get ready to take all your pictures, take all your screenshots. It's the most famous corner on the circuit, one of the most famous corners in all of motorsport, and you pitch it in to the ferocious banking of this tight hairpin, and you hope the car sticks, because if you pop out of that groove, you are going to lose positions. You might end up in the Armco, and worst of all, we'll probably make fun of you.
Oh, absolutely. Not to mention a strong chance that you'll end up on someone's YouTube channel.
So Ronnie Coates is going to lead them through the twistiest section of the track from about here all the way around to the Kleines Carousel. You can't really make a move because it's just corner after corner. It becomes a little bit of a tarmac rally stage amongst the forest and the smell of Germans cooking probably sausages.
I think they call them Frankfurters.
I think they call them Wursts, actually.
Shows what I know. Odyssey Adams has a little moment. He's now too wide with Gareth Brocklesby. After going 2 wheels off the track, he's going to lose another spot here, potentially to Mitchell Peak. Mitchell Peak decides to back out of it, though. That's a good old-fashioned Canadian there, giving the right of way, holding the door open for the guy ahead. And this is the section of the track where you can see the pack split up a little bit. No long straights here, lots and lots of corners, some of them blind. This one's, it's off camber. You can't see the exit.
And then the exit's got that nasty bump as you ride up over one of the very aggressive curbs that the Nordschleife is known for. There are Grand Prix tracks where the racing line is to get all over every curb. Through here, it can end up just being like hitting a gutter and sending you into the Armco, that's for sure. So you've got your top 6 together, and then Gareth Brocklesby leading this group for 7th.
Yeah, things split up a little bit. Brocklesby holding on to that open class lead so far, though, and starting to drop the likes of Ian Giebler, the next car in class, who's
almost contact between the leaders. Camden Hibbett got down the inside of Ronnie Coates, got given nothing. Now Michael Chase is going to be alongside him, heading towards the Clinus carousel. No way to go too wide through here. You lose so much time if you're not in that one groove that grips up through the corner there. So Coates squeezing Hibbett a little bit on the way into the Schwalbenschwanz.
Yeah, and we'll get them all out on the straightaway now for a little drag race. We'll see who plays the draft the best and who really wants to go 3 wide into the Tiergarten corners.
This is where it becomes super speedway style stuff, and the drivers that are, say, Joshua Soto, 3.6 seconds behind the leader, might end this straight within about a second of the race lead. Chase is going to pull out from behind Camden Hibbett. Camden Hibbett's also going to pull out, so 3 wide for the lead, 2 wide behind them. A flying formation for the race lead. Michael Coates was 5th coming onto this straight. He's got massive speed, slipstreaming off Chase. Ray Lombardi sticks his nose down the middle of the gap, 3 wide, to go from 4th place to the race lead, heading down the hill through the Tiergarten. It goes about single file from here as you've got these S's that feed you into the braking zone of the chicane. Ray Lombardi goes to the lead of the race. Camden Hibbett goes through in a second, and Ronnie Coates, he led them, and he's now 4th place in this group as they're going to complete lap 1.
The open class did the same as they filtered down, and Andy Cossack was the big loser at the end of it all. Went back 3 positions as far as I could tell as they were filtering down through the chicanes before the start-finish line here. And things have straightened out in that pack. Sean Hayes now leading it. Back to the front, though. And we're seeing Camden Hibbett now putting a little bit of pressure on Ray Lombardi as they whip around through the early section of the lap here. Ray Lombardi's really hanging it all out there, having a good little bit of commitment on the exit. Oh, it gets it a little bit wrong there, though. I think he had to lift a little bit going on to the short straight here up towards Arenberg. Nope. Flugplatz? I'm lost, Haynes.
Yeah, Kühlbacher and Flugplatz. He's wide at the top of the hill, though, similar to what we saw Geordie Fike do. And so they're side by side for the race lead here, heading down towards Schwedenkreuz, and it is a long straight here with the leaders side by side. 3rd place gets a big slipstream. Here comes Michael Chase, but there's nowhere to go on the Nordschleife here. You're absolutely suicidal if you try to take it 3 wide. Ray Lombardi still has the inside. He needs just a little tap on the brakes round the outside. Camden Hibbett just had a lift off to go round the outside with super confidence to the inside of Arenberg and back to the lead of the race by going around the outside of Schwedenkreuz. Normally a suicidal move in a GT3. In these Mazda Cup cars, I think you're just able to do it. You've got a little bit more width to play with. You're not going quite as fast. They're still side by side heading down the hill here as Ray Lombardi wants to strike back, and he'll have to go around the inside around the outside to get the inside, and he goes back to the race lead. All of this battling, keeping the top 10 super close together, 2.2 seconds to cover them all. Joshua Soto is up to 9th, only 2.5 seconds away from the race lead. This is going to be spicy if they can keep it together like this for all 6 laps of the race. I want to tell you, it will be difficult to race like that for too long, though.
Absolutely. The margin for error out here is so thin. I'm seeing death hiding behind every corner. These guys apparently aren't, though, as they file it single file into Metzgerfeld and come down through the right-hander at Callengard. We're trying.
So in English, it's great that some of these corners have got English names and German names. In English, miss, hit, miss. In German, I think Dreifach rechts. So the threefold rights there, and then you go downhill, and Lombardi's gotten a little bit wide. Hibbert's got a good run at him heading towards here, and I don't think Lombardi is defending the inside of the next corner. I think he's offering it up if Camden Hibbert wants it, but Hibbert doesn't. Easy to run on long in the braking zone there as you're going downhill. A lot of elevation change all over the track, and Devon, I want to sadly report to you that the total elevation difference between the lowest and highest point of the track here is more than Bathurst.
I would believe that, what with the whole driving around a mountain thing, but it is still pretty impressive to remark. They're being pretty impressive all the way through here.
Spa-Francorchamps, which doesn't. Inferior Spa-Francorchamps might be longer than Mount Panorama Circuit, but it is not taller.
I'd be willing to accept that, and also that it's easier than Bathurst, minus, of course, the off tracks.
So the Germans can take the crown. I still got beef with the Belgians. We're side by side once again, heading up towards that bravery curve, which I want to say is absolutely one line, but they're going to prove us wrong because they are so tightly packed for the lead. Camden Hibbert covering them off too wide. Ray Lombardi's got half a nose down the inside. Surely that can't work. He has to back out. Around the outside, there is some contact. Lombardi into the Armco as he made just a tiny tap with Ronnie Coates. Too wide through there would just never work. And for Ray Lombardi, it sent him spinning as he pulled off the throttle. Car was on the nose, and just that there does it.
Yeah, it was honestly a great recovery at the expense of a bumper, but those are cheap on these Mazda Miatas, and he'll be continuing on. He loses one spot to Ian Giebler. The real question is going to be how much does that bumper cost him down the Doniger Hoy? And is the pit window open? And I think it will be at the end of lap 2. So there's a good chance that he'll be able to take a fast report and rejoin this race with only 20, maybe 30 seconds lost.
End of lap 2, it should be. If it's not open end of lap 1, that kind of makes sense. But yeah, for a 6-lap race, either you can pit at the end of lap 3, and then that's the only lap you can pit, or you can pit end of lap 2, end of lap 3, end of lap 4. It's the only ways that the window could really work in a 6-lap race, and you can only pit once at the end of each lap. You can't pit halfway around the lap.
I'll just wait until they open up the second pit area around here. That'd be something else.
If Nordschleife is so good, how come there isn't a Nordschleife 2?
I think that's the Mullenbach Schleife, actually.
No, you're true. That's an awesome track. That's the perfect layout. Of all of the possible layouts of the Nürburgring, Nordschleife and Grand Prix, I think the Mullenbach Schleife are absolutely perfect. Literally just a hairpin at the far end of the Grand Prix circuit and a connecting road to bring you back around to it one more time. So, with all of that, Camden Hibbert's got a 1.2 second lead. I reckon he's going to push on pretty hard through this part, because if he can stay a second ahead of those behind, then he doesn't have to worry about them on the Dodingerhoa this time around. But you look at the drivers that you've got in second, third and fourth. Ronnie Coates, Michael Chase, Michael Coates. I think if they get their bumpers locked together, they'll have enough speed to mow him down in a little bit of a train. And they seem like the kind of guys that at this point of the race would go, yeah, let's not let Camden Hibbert get away with this one. So we will shortly find out as they work their way through the Schwalbenschwanz. And then the mini itty-bitty carousel. On any other circuit, this would be one of the greatest corners. But it's tough when, you know, your older brother is the big carousel. Real Liam Hemsworth areas.
It's not the greatest song ever written. It's just a tribute, you know? That's what's going on there.
It goes a little something like this.
Yeah.
So onto the straight here. Hibbert's dropped back a little bit. Didn't get a great run through the little carousel there. His lead's dropped back to only 6/10, but with that lead, he can send Ronnie Coates this lane, that lane, this lane, that lane. This is not Autobahn etiquette. They're side by side for the third place there, as well as Michael Coates gets alongside Michael Chase. You got 2 Coates, 2 Chases amongst 3 drivers, and here comes the lead coming down side by side, but it's the drivers one group back that have got more speed. Michael Coates has got the most speed, nowhere to go with it. Lane opens up and he can't go through it. He has to push Ronnie Coates. Michael Chase gets to one side. Here comes Mitchell Peake. We haven't really said his name much at all, but he came onto the straight in 6th or 7th. And now he finds himself briefly with his nose in second. It drops back into third. Michael Chase hoping to clear Ronnie Coates for the race lead here. Camden Hibbett's lead of 1.2 seconds becomes 5th place by the end of the dotting her on the end of lap 2. Pit entries to the right and no one's going there.
Yeah, we'll still have to see if Ray Lombardi's going to make an appearance, but early signs are that no one's pitting. And, it got spicy there. Apparently they remembered it was a race on lap 2 here.
So I'm not keeping perfect track of how many race leaders we've had, but definitely this is Michael Chase's first time at the point of the field. Ronnie Coates going through in a second there, and Mitchell Peak rising high up into third here. The group of cars is now 8. There's Ray Lombardi on the pit lane, hoping to get a new bumper and also hoping to get enough fuel to get him all the way to the end of 6 laps of this race. He will not be going a lap down here, I don't think.
Yeah, it is a bit curious to see Mitchell Peak up this far. Usually he prefers to hang back during the first stint. That's kind of the strategy that I've seen him use a lot. But here he's found himself right up near the front of the pack, and might be a sign that they're planning to do some pitting here a little bit later in this lap. Things got real close there between Camden Hibbett as he made a move on Michael Coates heading up towards Armberg there.
Coates wisely let it go, but it cost him just a little bit of speed and now puts him under pressure from Rui Coimbra. At the lead here, Ronnie Coates is going for it. He's going to have to go round the outside of Schwedenkreuz for another time. Mitchell Peak's going to follow him, but they both have to tap the brakes on because if you get into that grass, then you're going into that red and white Armco. Still side by side for the lead here and a little bit of contact. Coates drifts away from the curbing and puts just a little bit of door into Michael Chase, slows him up for sure, and now we are too wide through a place that most other race cars couldn't do it flat out. Heading down the hill, picking up major speed. Mitchell Peak goes through to second. Camden Hibbett's trying to follow him through into third, and Chase ends up back in fourth.
Hibbett goes from 5th to 3rd in the span of the first 1/8 of the track, I'd say. Doing a really aggressive bit of driving to get his way back up towards the front, but he clearly is interested in some of that track position they got up there.
9 cars in the lead group. Gareth Brocklesby made a couple of positions there, actually. He's back ahead of Joshua Soto, back ahead of Odyssey Adams Jr. You are not going to miss him in a dark alley either with the yellow and polka dots.
Yeah, the lead group's all sticking together. The rest of the pack is starting to get a little bit strung out. We're not seeing big battles throughout the field, but I can report to you folks that Odyssey Adams is still holding, Ian Giebler is still holding on to the lead in open class, running 10th overall. Ian Giebler is still holding on to the lead, isn't he? No, Gareth Brocklesby's still holding on to the lead. Look at me, I'm losing my mind. He's the next best after Gareth Brocklesby is Ian Giebler, who we're seeing on the screen right now. And then he's got a few seconds gap all the way back to 10 seconds back to Lee Martin in 3rd.
And you can see Geordie Fike, Tom Athon, so a couple of guys pretty close here as they make their way through Versheifen. This is the leaders, all of them 2.7 seconds from Ronnie Coates in the lead to Odyssey Adams in 9th. Not far away from going through the part of the lap where we had some contact a lap ago going through the Bravery corner. It's Bergwerk first, tightens late, but has a little bit of camber, so you've got to carry the right line through there if you're going to carry speed out the exit, pick up that little bit of slingshot as the car grips late on in the corner and then sends you flat out through here to Klostertal at the kink left, and then the track goes pretty sharply uphill because you're getting towards the highest point of the lap. So it's here where if you're leading, you really stall out going uphill and the cars behind get a massive slipstream, and 1st through to 5th, they are a train, they are a conga line. Got the bumpers to the bumpers. And I think this is just Chase trying to defend the inside, not let anyone get to the inside of him in that corner.
I don't know, I was having flashbacks.
Got some very dangerous overlap on Mitchell Peak as they're going through this little kink here. Can they go flat out side by side through there? I don't think they can, and I think Peak lifted. Hibbett goes to 2nd. And then the rest of them start to have a little bit of a look at him. Can't do it around Klostertal.
Peak stays out wide, but he'll have the inside heading towards the carousel. And there's a little bit of overlap at the back as Josh Soto's looking wide in the background, decides that he wants to ride in the carousel, not on the outside of it though, as the advertising boards try to hide all these beautiful race cars going around.
There was a little bit of bump actually between them in the middle of the carousel there. Not the kind of place I thought you could bump draft.
I'm not sure it's called bump drafted at that point. I think it's more like bump and
run. Or
yeah, something like that.
But almost. This is the highest point of the track here.
And these Miatas love it going downhill, you know. And really the section of the track, I'm going to say really through here, the section of the track where they can show off what they do best, these Miatas, changes of direction, lightweight, you know, really just carving it up.
So Coates still leading them at the moment here with Camden Hibbett. A little bit of a gap forming, as can happen through this part of the lap. Nearly a little wide there. So easy to do. You can't see the exit. You're going uphill. It comes off camber in the middle of the corner. Car gets a little bit of air on the way into this next bit. And then you've got to make sure you stay tight right to open up the left-hander. You can keep the full throttle absolutely flat from here over the crest and then down and towards the little carousel. Camden Hibbett knows it. Got to be careful of those lethal curbs there, and he wants the inside. They've done this before and ended in contact before. So as they're side-by-side for the race lead, Hibbett's through the inside. Ronnie Coates wants to go round the outside. Really wants to go round the outside into the left-hander here. Oh, Hibbett's in the grass. Hibbett runs wide.
Well, Peak might have an opportunity here. Decides not to take it. That was really beautifully executed.
You want to be in 4th or 5th position right now.
Yeah, evidence would suggest that that's the place to be, but I just got to give props to Ronnie Coates. That was beautiful the way he hung around the outside. He was actually behind Camden Hibbett as they came off the corner, but used the extra pace from the wide line in order to slingshot himself back up the inside. And now as they head onto the dotted hole, they're going to have a draft battle for the ages as we wait and see what the pit strategy is going to look like.
Welcome to my TED Talk. I think Michael Coates, currently 5th, can get to the lead of the race. Look at them all closing up. Absolutely getting swamped is Ronnie Coates. Now Camden Hibbett's turn as he tries to not give the slipstream to Mitchell Peak, but Peak's got the speed. They come across left. Are they trying to cover off Michael Coates in green and yellow? He runs out of places to go despite his speed. Now it's Mitchell Peak who'll get closed in by Michael Chase. 3-way bump draft in the right-hand lane. Inside lane opens up. There goes Michael Chase to the lead. Camden Hibbett, he got that 3-way bump, got a bit of speed, trying to go around the outside of Mitchell Peak now to try to hold on to 2nd. Coming through into 3rd, 4th, Rui Coimbra made up a couple of spots there. Michael Chase back to the lead of this race. Is it entry time for any? Oh, there is a checkup on the pit entry. A couple stay out, but Chase, Hibbett, Peak, Coates, and Soto all on the pit lane at the halfway point of the race.
Little drama there. I'm not sure we caught it on the camera. Odyssey Adams got it all wrong going into the final corner. Slid a little bit and tagged the inside. I don't know if that car's handling as nice as it was before, but tagged that little bit of guardrail. Seeing a lot of the field continue on. I think if it were me, I'd like to drive on the empty track without a draft, even if it cost me a few seconds down the straightaway. Race
off of the pit lane here, and Camden Hibbett wins it over Michael Chase. Ronnie Coates, Joshua Soto also jumping a spot there over Michael Coates. Not a surprise. Soto was part of that lead group but never led a lap, so that might have been a little part of his game. Save a tiny bit. Drivers who have stayed out. Rui Coimbra goes to the lead with Gareth Brocklesby. Odyssey Adams in 3rd with Ian Giebler in 4th place at the moment. They've all still got to pit.
Yeah, and as the former leading pack comes out of the pits, they're having to contend with Andy Cossack. Camden Hibbett is getting checked up real bad, and we've seen how aggressive Camden can be. I wonder if he's going to try and make a move into Arnberg here. I know Andy won't like it, and he's going to try the outside. Oh, this is going to be a little bit spicy unless Andy gives him the spot.
Andy's behind. Andy backs out and he's going to let 2 of them go, but way out wide. Michael Chase just keeps it on the road. If he touched the grass, he would have been heading for an accident. Ronnie Coates has an issue. Oh, trying to stick the nose in. 3 wide there. Peak runs out of space as well, and all of them are just absolutely freight training Andy Cossack at the moment. Here comes Michael Coates, and here comes Josh Soto. He's looking for a move down the inside of Peak. He's going to get that. Is he going to get to the inside of Coates? He's going to force Coates to run a little bit wide across Schwedenkreuz and have the inside into Arenberg. On the outlap already, it's getting a little bit feisty.
Man, the way the cars are bouncing and jostling around as they are foot on the floor at nearly the top speed of these cars is so impressive at that section of the track.
So here comes my iRacing fanboy to say that the way cars in iRacing show the suspension compression, the body roll, all of that, it feels like what sets them apart. And as they ride over all of these bumps, these curves, as they get loose and then they compress, you really see that the cars are attached to the laser scan road on iRacing, and you get all of that challenge that the Nürburgring provides. It's an old surface, it's an old layout, it's to the lay of the land, not some 2000s FIA grade 1 super wide paved runoff kind of circuit. This place is the green hell, and long may it remain so.
Here. These guys are starting to have some brushes with it too. It's getting a little bit dangerous over there. Interesting to see Josh Soto working quite so hard. He hung back in the early part and managed to get himself into a position here where, with a little bit of luck, he's going to be battling for the lead right away. That's not lucky. Ooh, 2 tires on the grass. That was dangerous.
So call in the chase group that they've already pitted, and also
there's Chase in there.
Michael Chase. Camden Hibbett leading this group from Michael Chase from Ronnie Coates at the moment. Trying to keep an eye on what their gap is relative to Rui Coimbra and Gareth Brocklesby, if these guys are making good time in a little bit of clean air, or if they've been kind of hung out to dry a little bit. So 24.5 seconds at the moment. When they get to pitting in at the end of this lap, which we expect that they will do, have a look at that one again, and that'll give us a little bit of a heads up if Rui Coimbra is going to emerge in the lead or off the tail of the leading group like Hibbett and Chase and Ronnie Coates.
Yeah, the other thing that I wonder is if Camden and co are going to catch up to our next little group of open class and sort of mid-pack pro drivers. If not here, then in the second half of the lap. They're starting to see them just peeking around the corners up the road, and if they do get there, that could cost them some serious time on the back half of this lap.
Chase has just been off the road behind Camden Hibbett. So they're definitely pushing on here, as if maybe they're trying to make that breakaway group from Ronnie Coates and Joshua Soto. I say Ronnie Coates and Joshua Soto, and I don't want them chasing me day or night, dark alley or anywhere. I think they're going to catch you.
I love that asymmetrical racing stripe on Soto's car there. It's a good look.
Speaking of asymmetrical liveries, Brian Jabelski's also got one with an orange stripe and an offset sponsor position. So that's something. He is, in fact, actually running last at the moment, but there are a couple of cars that haven't stopped that he might end up ahead of. All 18 drivers qualified. All 18 drivers are still running. A minor miracle around the Nürburgring Nordschleife. Camden Hibbett's taken about a quarter of a second out of Rui Coimbra. So I think this group will still look to emerge as your race leaders.
Yeah, and despite the fact...
next group like you were talking about, and this is the part of the lap where the confidence and the bravery of our leading drivers really will eat a couple seconds out of some of the drivers who haven't been part of the lead group.
Yeah, and they're gaining ground on them for sure. Now only 4 seconds separating them. Oh, and Odyssey Adams actually had a little moment just ahead of them there. As Camden Hibbett's going to come right up on his rear bumper. And he dives out of the way. Oh, nearly puts it in the wall getting out of the way of the leading pack. You appreciate it, but it scares the heck out of you, you know?
Did the best he could. Joshua Soto off the road, 4 tyres through the grass. Michael Coates does it too, kicking up the gravel. That's one of the YouTube corners, and I've seen that gravel get kicked up a couple of times. Manages to survive that, but definitely a hairy moment, not something you want to do. And if you'd done that in qualifying, your lap would have been deleted. So 23.9 seconds now, Camden Hibbett to Rui Coimbra. He's been pushing on through this part. He's even almost dropping Michael Chase. Through this part of the lap, there's been almost no one quicker than Camden Hibbett, and it's that kind of lone car hot lap qualifying pace he's displaying at the moment that put him on pole position. This is Rui Coimbra and Gareth Brocklesby. Haven't stopped yet, expecting to see them pit at the end of this lap. They're about to head on to the Dottingahua.
Yeah, and we'll keep riding with them as they're going to have to make this draft work. I think if I'm in the lead car, I'm begging the guy behind to hook up with the rear bumper and push, push, push. Heck, I might even be tapping the brakes at this point to make it happen sooner.
Oh, is that a golden retriever? Is he about to be a golden pusher?
We'll see. He doesn't seem that interested in getting right up on the rear bumper. We've definitely seen
crazy thing about this, right, is these are the leaders who haven't stopped, and on the same straight you can see the chase group that has stopped, but there's 25 seconds behind them. So there's a linked up group of Soto being pushed by Peak, being pushed by Coates, trying to catch Hibbett, Chase, and other Coates. And so as Camden Hibbett tries to battle, Ronnie Coates has got so much speed, he has to tap on the brakes in 3rd place. On the straight, he taps the brakes to not absolutely drill the driver in front. We've got Rui Coimbra and Gareth Brocklesby hitting the pit lane. For the next group, we've got a battle for what will become the race lead as Chase gets in front of Camden Hibbett. Them are all being caught by Soto, Peak, and Coates as their 3-way choo-choo train, 3 locomotives hooked up and in multiple unit control, have caught back up to the leaders. You've also got Lee Martin, Ian Giebler, and Sean Hayes on the pit lane, expecting everyone else on the end of this lap as well. There's Rui Coimbra getting going, but the train is gone. Michael Chase leads again from Camden Hibbett from Ronnie Coates, and he's going to drop in behind Michael Coates in what will be 7th position. Brocklesby, a longer stop, is just being left behind at the station.
Yeah, another report from the pit lane is that Orlando Harrell had a bit of an incident in the final sector, put the car into the wall and had to get it brought back on the flatbed to the pits. Unfortunate for him, but his race will continue once the tow's finished.
I love one of the angles of the spectators here because I was praising the perfectly accurate German ambulance, German merchandise truck, and then in the shot here, the fans have parked their Hummer next to the circuit. Not sure that.
Yeah.
You need to be like a 1.2 litre Polo.
Yeah, that does sound a little bit more accurate if we're being honest. So you think the Polo would probably be out there racing today too, in the same class and all.
All the pit stops done, 2 laps to go on the Nordschleife. Michael Chase has a lead of about half a Mazda Miata and about a quarter, about an eighth of a Mazda Miata. He's got Camden Hibbett around his outside. Ronnie Coates plays Kingmaker, stays in behind, maybe almost looking to bump. Here comes Joshua Soto. Is there a 3rd lane for him? He wants there to be, but there isn't. Even too wide across Schwedenkreuz can be lethal. Too wide, too deep for the race lead. Here we go. Camden Hibbett down the inside into the race lead. Chase being held out wide. Soto on the narrow line, looking to get through into 2nd place. He rode in 7th place, 8th place, almost all the way through the opening stint of the race. Now, Joshua Soto is lighting the afterburners.
Yeah, Soto came in there like a bat out of hell. It was dangerous looking as he was coming up on those guys. The closing speed was pretty intense, but they're coming into another dangerous section here. Mitchell Peak gets real close with Michael Coates behind. And all of them are nose to tail running through the Adenauer Forest.
So the whole gang's back together. 7 cars for the lead group in powerful slipstream, but dancing on a razor's edge with no paved runoff, no gravel traps, none of that at the Nürburgring Nordschleife. Right here's where the tower that all the phone reception comes from, so that you can pull a little bit of data from the car when they're around the far end of the track. Soto 10 positions gained in this race so far to sit in 3rd, and he's been looking very, very racy. He was hoping to take 2nd or 1st, I think, when he got a good run towards Schwedenkreuz, but again, if the lane doesn't open, you can't go anywhere.
Yeah, you definitely don't do it with 2 laps to go. Next lap, you might take a little bit more of a risk, but that would have been a sketchy one for sure.
Another group's formed up, led by recovering Ray Lombardi. He's got Lee Martin, Ian Giebler, Geordie Fike, and Sean Hayes with him. And there's one driver on their lonesome in between, and it's Gareth Brocklesby. Dropped by the leaders, but still looking like 18 seconds or so almost ahead of Ray Lombardi. So he can see this one out for the open class win. He's got 19 seconds ahead of the next car in class, but he will probably not be having a perfect view of the race leaders. Dotting Ahua on the final lap in about 10-12 minutes time is going to be something crazy.
Yeah, it's going to be busy up at the front. These guys are confident and they are willing to lean on each other a little bit. So I'm thinking that if they make it through the next couple straightaways here, they're gonna put on a show for us this time and next time. You're absolutely right. Too wide at the back. That's Michael Chase. That's Michael Coates looking up the inside, soon to be the outside of Mitchell Peak, and they're all going too wide. It's too wide, 2x2 in the lead pack here.
Is there rain coming? Have you built an arc? Michael Chase goes to the lead here on the narrow line through the inside. You've got to be careful not to wash out too wide and touch that grass, and they nearly did. So Chase back to the lead ahead of Hibbert. Soto still sitting in third. Really not a whole lot of change happening that time. At Klostertal, though, looking down the inside, Cams and Hibbert right before the carousel, trying to take it away. Tries to trick Coates into running a little bit deep. The best apex is late there, so around the outside, I think you can keep the power in. The inside line is the only way to go through the carousel. That no good will come from trying to go around the outside of the carousel. Camden Hibbert knows it. He gets back in line and all of them work their way on the concrete. The most famous corner there. Definitely the one that sells the most pictures. And some lucky someone has their motorhome parked on the inside of the corner there, and that would be a great place to be for 24 hours in May or June or July or whenever they host the next 24. The Nürburgring 24 seems to move around in the calendar quite a lot.
They're using the German calendar, not the North American one. Seeing a little bit of a battle for the lead of the open class between Lee Martin and Ian Giebler.
Done it again, Devin.
Not the lead, second and third place. Gareth Brocklesby's just such the class. Ian Giebler's up the inside. He's going to take the spot away more as a result of Lee Martin making a mistake than it is of him having the overspeed. Geordie Fike's thinking that it's an opportunity for him too, though, looking a little bit threatening.
Not a lot of passes happen here through Vipperman, but apparently
you
can force the issue, but now you're off the road. Ian Giebler gets it back on the pavement. He's going to have to dust himself off a little bit and try to carry on. He's got Geordie Fike not in the same category, breathing down the back of his neck. He has gotten ahead of Lee Martin, who's now third in that open class, and with Sean Hayes. So all happening everywhere you look. You do worry sometimes, races at the Nordschleife, that the groups will get spread out. It amplifies the sort of skill difference or the speed difference between the fastest and the slowest drivers.
Yeah, it's a dangerous place. It's a dangerous place, especially when you're trying to do it all 6 or 7 of you in a line. And speaking of, we're going to have another show down at the Dada Nugara as they come through the mini carousel and up the hill.
You got something squeaking there, Devin. Let's see who leads this group in about 2 kilometres time. It won't be Camden Hibbert. There's no way it'll be Camden Hibbert. Soto in third. Can he manufacture something? Ronnie Coates, we know he's a smart competitor, known for this pack racing there in fourth. Mitchell Peak's all the way back in sixth, but he had a good go of it before. So from the bridge to the gantry, or the gantry to the bridge, Soto already up into third. Chase deliberately dropping back here. There's a lot of speed in the left-hand lane. Soto gets to the lead, but Ronnie Coates is going to have mega speed. He needs a lane to open. It doesn't. He pushes Joshua Soto. Here comes Michael Coates. Ooh. He's going to go 3 wide on this group, try to lunge the next group, but Ronnie Coates is pushing Joshua Soto, so they'll get up to speed pretty quick. Here's your 5 for the lead. Mitchell Peak's the fastest driver, and he's a couple car lengths back, but it's all happening turning too late. 3 wide, almost 4 wide for the lead of the race. Camden Hibbett wants it. He puts his nose in. He's got it ahead, but he's sandwiched between Michael Coates and Joshua Soto. He squeaks through by less than a Miata mirror to the lead of the race. The white flag about to wave. One more tour of the Nürburgring Nordschleife. 20 kilometers, 12 or so miles. Camden Hibbett will lead them onto the final lap, ahead of Joshua Soto, ahead of Michael Coates.
No, we've lost Gareth Brocklesby. Gareth Brocklesby's had an accident going through the corner right before the Klein's Carousel. He's turned it in, he's clipped the apex and just gone out in the dirt and stuck it in the wall. We'll get a replay of it here as he comes around the corner, turns in, makes the right-hander, but when he goes through the left, you'll see he carries just a little too much speed at the apex, runs it out wide, hits the dirt on the outside, into the inside wall, and bang, that car is written off. He's towing back to the pits, and that means that battle between Ian Giebler and Lee Martin is going to be even more consequential than it was before. It'll actually be the battle for the lead.
If you wind that one back and go frame by frame, you can see the exact moment he took 3 inches of wheelbase out of that car. From a 19-second lead, as you say, and it just all disappears that quickly at the Nürburgring Nordschleife. He didn't have to push, but he had no other references there, and suddenly Ian Giebler leading class, but with Lee Martin all over him, and Andy Kosick elevated into 3rd. Bit of battle going on for the leaders as well. Camden Hibbett leading, but Michael Coates to the inside, the outside. Well, the outside becomes the inside, like when I do my laundry, and Joshua Soto goes back to 3rd.
Ooh, that's a good move there. Michael Coates not afraid to go around the outside. Ronnie Coates, on the other hand, gets a little bit wrong on the exit, and I think that Mitchell Peake might have a run here if he decides to take it.
I think he decides not to at this point. It's kind of down to our leading 7 cars on the final lap now.
It does feel a little difficult to take a move at this point because really it's all going to come down to the last straightaway anyway.
Yeah, at this point you're thinking, okay, where do I be? How far back? Who do I work with on the Dodingerhoer? And for Camden Hibbett, it's the opposite. It's thinking, can I break away from these guys on this lap? Camden Hibbett has been one of the quicker drivers. Obviously, he got qualifying. He was almost pulling away through the twistiest section of the lap from the carousel around to the mini carousel. But he never quite got that sort of 1.5, 2, 3, 4 seconds that you need to just lead on away. And then if you're 1 second ahead coming onto the Dodingerhoer, you're just going to get swallowed up because you give everyone else such a big run up to shoot past you.
Yeah, I'm surprised that we're not seeing more guys trying to move backwards, honestly, at this point. As long as you stay in contact with the leaders and Camden doesn't manage to solidify this little breakaway he's attempting to form, then you'll be in really good shape come the end of the lap.
A little bit of grass from Michael Coates.
And Camden's already being a little, he's watching his rear view mirror, making sure that there's not an easy draft for him.
Bergwerk, you can get a little bit of the curb on the outside, but you don't want to get the draft.
Yeah, Rui Coimbra hit the whole curb and got the rear tires up onto the dirt. Managed to gather it back up, though. I thought he was going around.
He might have thought he was as well. He's dropped a little bit back off the group. You see Peake and Chase side by side.
Peake's holding the outside, but it's going to be hard to do all the way through the lap.
And Soto is going second. So the battle's forming out. Soto makes a big switch left to right to go around the outside of the Bravery curve on Camden Hibbett. Soto looking for the race lead early on. Hibbett, just going to give him enough space. Too wide through there is not quick. And it means that the rest of the pack will close up. Mega speed for Chase. For Coates, mega speed for Peak, and Chase catching as well. Rui Coimbra, that'll erase some of his mistake as there's only 1.5 seconds to cover all of our top group, jockeying for position here, knowing that it'll all come down to the dotting ahura on the final lap. They have navigated the most difficult, most challenging, longest lap on iRacing 5.5 times now to just be this close for the lead on the final lap.
Off camera, Tom, Aton has just been passed by Andy Kosick around the outside. It was a real nice move, but we'll stay with the leaders.
Soto leading them up the hill to the highest point of the racetrack, and in German they call it highest point. Who'd have known? And Soto, he's just maybe covering off Hibbett. And honestly, I don't think second or third is the place to be on this final lap.
Honestly, it's shocking the Germans name corners at all. Like, it's not just the right-hander, and then the left-hander, and then the right-hander. I mean, come on.
They love to give things a number and then also a name. So, Soto, Hibbett, Coates, Peak, Chase.
Oh! Peak way off the track. Gets all 4 tires off, way off line, and he's going to give up a spot to Michael Chase here if he's not careful. Chase ends up having to give it up, but again, Peak's off the track. And you don't practice being offline through that sector, and it showed there for Chase and or for Peak as Chase was able to get by.
Soto's playing some weird games. He's playing some weird games at the lead here. He's boxing them all back. He's got Hibbett absolutely at his rear bumper. Michael Coates is trying to give them both a little bit of space, but I think Soto knows if he just leads all the way from here, he'll get swallowed up. No chance on the dotting ahura. So he's trying to play some game, do something, and this could end up being just a roll of the dice for anyone inside of the top 6. Just luck shines on you, you get the right run, a lane opens up, well, you've got a mile an hour more than the rest of the guys, and you could still win this from any position amongst these drivers. Heading through the Schwalbenschwanz now, trying to set up for the Kleines Carousel and the run onto the dotting ahura from Galgenkopf. Joshua Soto leads by nothing over the rest of the group. This is the view from Rui Coimbra, last driver in the group. He can see the race lead just 1.5 seconds ahead of him. I'll tell you, there's more than 1.5 seconds of slipstream on the final straight. Soto is parking it. He's making a car park through the Galgenkopf. Off the road, a few of them run. Rui Coimbra jumps 2 spots as he says, all right, I'll play this game. Joshua Soto dropping back. Camden Hibbett to the lead of the race. Soto's played this game and he's put everything on the table. 3 lanes, 4 lanes. Soto moves across on Ronnie Coates. Camden Hibbett still leads, 3 wide for the race lead on the dotting ahura. Rui Coimbra has gone from 7th to the lead in 2 corners, but will he go back to 7th in the length of a straight? Ronnie Coates boxes Joshua Soto in a position where he can go nowhere, do nothing, and we're 3 wide as well, opening up the 3rd lane here. Camden Hibbett, if he can get someone to push him, can go to the race lead. How about 4 wide, then 3 wide behind that? Michael Coates bumps Ronnie Coates to try to put him into the lead of the race. Michael Coates is pushing his horse along. Joshua Soto gets a bad bump off Mitchell Peak and they're 3 wide. It's going to end in disaster, but only one can win as they head through the Tiergarten, the final braking zone of the lap. Ronnie Coates is in best position. Joshua Soto gets spun around. He gets straightened up. Wow. Camden Hibbett shoots through in a second, then he gets a little bit of a tap sideways from Michael Coates, but Ronnie Coates is going to come out of the final corner. He's going to take the race lead. Is there a car park in the final corner as Camden Hibbett gets spun around? Joshua Soto goes for 2nd, Mitchell Peak for 3rd, Rui Coimbra goes from 7th to 1st to 4th, Michael Coates crosses the line in 5th, and then it's Michael Chase. Camden Hibbett, my goodness, you knew there was going to be drama.
And the drama's not done yet. Lee Martin's up the inside of Sean Hayes, trying to hold him off as both he and Ian Giebler behind are battling for the lead. Giebler backs out of it, and I think that Lee's going to be able to hold him off. We'll see. There's room for one last dive. Sure enough, it's not there, and Lee's going to take it while Giebler drifts through the final corner to a 2nd place finish. Andy Kosick coming around the final corner after holding off Odyssey Adams Jr. is going to finish 3rd in open class, 13th overall. Odyssey Adams 14th, 15th for Tom Aton, 16th for Jordy Fike at the line.
I seriously think with the lead 7, they were parked closer than you'd ever see at a shopping centre. You'd never see...
I cannot.
You never roll into the work parking lot and see it like that close, bumper to bumper, not able to open the door. Insanity. And it was all building up to that for the whole 45 plus minutes of the race. You knew it was going to play out like that.
Oh my God.
This is the leading group, and there's where it goes wrong. It all starts, someone has a slightly off-square bump with Joshua Soto, but someone was always going to bump him off-center when they were 3 wide, heading down towards a corner where there's only one line. And this is what it looked like for the leading 7 on the final lap. So Soto, okay, Peak comes across to the left, and then, no, it's Hibbert's little tap on Joshua Soto. Hibbert's off onto the grass. As he rejoins, he's alongside Michael Coates. Coates, just the smallest tap.
And Camden's off the wall. He can't rejoin it. But oh my God, the way Camden was able to get that car across the grass in the braking zone and still get it slowed down, I thought for sure he was going to make that work. And then just that little tap was enough. And they clean it out, and Rui Coimbra comes across the line. Oh, that was something else.
It absolutely was. Let's look at the results then. Ronnie Coates, the winner. Joshua Soto, Mitchell Peak, Rui Coimbra, Michael Coates, Michael Chase, Camden Hibbert, Ray Lombardi, despite swapping out the nose a little early in the race, came back to 8th. Sean Hayes in 9th. Lee Martin, open class winner there in 10th from Ian Giebler and Andy Kosick. Odyssey Adams, Tom Ayton, Geordie Fike, Brian Shabelski. Orlando Herald 17th, and Gareth Brocklesby basically looking like a retirement there in 18th. He had it all sewed up, but then the Green Hell did what it does. He got half an inch out onto the grass, and there was no way from that spin to not end up in the Armco, and he goes from a 20-second lead in class to being last on the track at the Nordschleife.
She's a fickle beast, that one, and I fear that she may have consumed some of the finishers from the race, because I'm not seeing any of our leaders available for an interview. We'll see if any of them pop up.
Well, we can grab open class winner and drag Lee Martin from his comfy place into the commentary box. Congratulations on the open class win. Is there a tougher track than this?
Yeah, I'm going to go with no. This is an amazing track. It is my favorite track, and it's the one that I am most terrified of racing on, especially close quarters. I think we were 3 wide on that last lap.
The final lap was insane everywhere we looked, but as far as your class battle was concerned, Gareth Brocklesby had you guys out to dry, but you've got to see out every one of the 154 corners on a lap to see the checkered flag here.
Yeah, for sure. It is. How many corners are there? I don't know, but it's.
iRacing says 154. I'd count slightly less, but iRacing counts it as 154 on this layout.
Jeez. So yeah, that's a lot of corners to get just right. I think I muffed one of them and picked up an incident somewhere along the way. But yeah, I mean, very few places to pass. You got to be strategic. And yeah, I was trying not to get past Giebler until the end because I knew I needed that draft on the last straight.
Amongst the 12.5 miles, it does have a little bit of everything. Tight, narrow, twisting, off-camber, blind corners, but then that one massive straight where you might as well forget everything you know about road racing and try to win the Daytona 500.
Yeah, I might need a little coaching from you and some of the DraftKings on the oval circuits because, yeah, that last bit, it's every bit of NASCAR race and every bit of the strategy that you need there. And you just don't want to be first. And then you don't want to be in the middle when Sean takes it 3 wide and then you're just basically praying. But amazing drivers, everybody holding their line, everybody making an exciting finish. I hope it was a good broadcast.
I think the final couple of minutes were pretty good, and the 45 minutes before that decent as well. Congrats on those points and on the finish and seeing out the Green Hell.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Thanks for the great broadcast. As always, appreciate you guys.
I think I put Lee Martin back where I found him. I'm not sure. I might have put him back in the wrong place. Oops. Well, I think we had our race leader for a second, and then where did Ronnie Coates disappear to? Oh, he's back. So for you, Devon, let's get our outright race winner.
Ronnie, I've seen a lot of finishes at the Nürburgring, and I don't think I've seen one as close as that. That was amazing. How does it feel to pull that off?
Oh man, it was crazy. Absolutely crazy. Lots of close contact in there for sure.
As you were coming on to the Donnergerhoy the last time, did you have a strategy in mind, or was it just evolving in front of you?
Yeah, it was pretty much evolving. I mean, I knew from third place I was going to get a big run, and Camden moved over and put a pretty big block on me. And so, big shout out to Rui. He moved over, gave me a little draft there, got me by both of them. They kind of squeezed me, and then right there at the end, Coates also gave me a little shove too, which kind of helped. Which I think it was going to help him too, but it just gave me just enough to clear the shenanigans when everybody got sideways right there. I probably would have got taken out as well. Great catch on Camden there.
Yeah, that was really special from him, and it was really impressive from you out at the front. I wouldn't have bet that the guy running right in the top 2 or 3 was going to win it with the way the draft was playing out there, but you managed to hold on to it.
Yeah, it's so hard to know where to be. I mean, the couple laps before that, I could have went by and then been up there, and it's like, well, I don't know. I think I'll wait back here. It's probably a little safer, and then just try to get up there and battle it out at the end. Just tried to stay close on those last few corners, make sure that I had the best draft I could get.
What's the secret to racing as close as you 7 guys out at the front were? Because that was impressive stuff too.
Well, I mean, we've been racing together for a couple of seasons now, and I think we kind of all know each other pretty well. And I did, unfortunately, I think I rubbed Michael a couple of times where I just it was a 0x, but and Soto too one time was just pushing, and it's hard to see your marks and stuff when it's a sketchy track. I always feel like it's one you kind of try to survive. It's you can push and go way faster, and then you die. So it's not worth it.
Well, that's a pretty big points haul for you there. I got to think that makes you feel a lot more comfortable in second place in the points after drop weeks start to get counted.
Yeah, it certainly helps. I think Camden's probably already got it wrapped up. He's got a lot of wins this season, and I don't know. I haven't looked that closely, but I think it's probably out of reach. But it's definitely a step in the right direction.
Cheers to you, man. Well, looking forward to one more of these things. We'll see you back next week in Monza.
Yeah, shout out to the Not a Team guys and some good practice for this race. So anyway, thanks guys. Thanks for the broadcast.
Awesome racing for every category, coming down to just about the final lap, maybe even the final corner. Ronnie Coates comes away with the Pro Class win. Lee Martin comes away with the Open Class win, and there's just one round left of Spec-5 World Tour this season. And you'll see it here on HJBC in a week's time, so make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss that. The championship decider is going to be on the Monza Combined, so we might get a little more racing similar to what we've just seen today, except we'll have to brush up on our Italian pronunciation, Devon, so that's our homework for the week. Yeah.
Buena.
See? Final round is round 13 of Spec-5 World Tour Season 14 from Monza Combined. Make sure you join us same time next week for that one. I've been David Haynes with Devon Peters, Michael Derby, our producer, and another amazing race from the Nürburgring Nordschleife.